Gentleman from Charlottesville, Mr. Toscano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Gentleman may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, great Commonwealths just don't happen. They're a product of many decisions, large and small, bad and good. And each time we come down here, we think about those decisions that we're going to have to make, and there are a lot of hard ones that we're going to have to make this year. And it's with this thought in mind that I want to recommend to the members a book, as if you didn't have enough to do while you were down here. And it's called If We Can Put a Man on a Moon. And it's a takeoff from Kennedy's large challenge to the American public to put a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s, and his challenge to marshal the resources of government to make that happen. This book is written by William Eggers, who's the president of the Reason Foundation and also was the director of the Texas Performance Review. He has quite a number of qualifications. And if you will note, the subtitle of the book is called Getting Big Things Done in Government. Notice they didn't say getting things done with big government. And that was for a reason. And the reason is that we can get a lot of things done if we serve as facilitators. The important thing is to get the services provided to people, not to have government necessarily provide all the services. Now, it's important to note, though, that he believes that government has a role. And Eggers wants to hardwire cultural innovation into our public sector. And hopefully we can think about that as we go through our process today and in the days of the session. So what are the things that he thinks we need to guard against? One of the most important things is he thinks that we need to guard against what he calls the Tolstoy trap. This is the trap that all of us sometimes experience. When we find data or facts that contradict our worldview, but because we're stuck, we can't give up that worldview, and we end up voting in a way that the data doesn't support. In other words, we discover what we want to see in the world, and we omit everything else. We know we all do it down here, and I want to give you a couple of examples of how we might do it, perhaps one from my side and perhaps one from the Republican side. For the last several years, there were bills before us that would have created tuition assistance grants for families with special needs children. These bills would have permitted parents to remove children with special needs from the public schools and to send them to private schools using some taxpayer money in the process. Some of them on our side were very uncomfortable with this prospect. Dare I say the word voucher? Even though there is some data that suggests that perhaps allowing parents in these circumstances to take a child out of the public schools might actually save the public schools some money and help the child. For many of us, we were simply unable to move beyond our comfort level to bring in some facts that might actually change our mind. But we aren't the only ones. In Governor Kane's proposed budget, he proposed eliminating the so-called dealer discount. You all know what that is. That's a tax preference, a vehicle that allows businesses to keep a portion of the state sales tax as what is called a transaction cost. This idea made good sense at the time it was enacted. There were substantial transaction costs involved in rebating the tax to the state government. But the technology has moved to the point that the transaction costs are now minimal. And make no mistake about it, this is a direct taxpayer subsidy. It's our money flowing to those businesses to help rebate the cost of sending that tax to the Commonwealth. And who gets the biggest preferences? Walmart and the largest corporations. Millions of dollars for Walmart, How much for mom and pop? Not a whole bunch. And does it create any jobs? I would suggest to you it does not. And we're about creating jobs. So let's think about that dealer discount and the fact that we could recapture $61 million to plow into the governor's rejuvenated Governor's Opportunity Fund to create jobs in this Commonwealth. Now, it is difficult to get beyond our preconceived notions of things, to let the data in and speak to us. Dare I say the word tax increase? That's the problem. We get stuck in these categories. So what I would urge my colleagues today as we think about this session, let us not get stuck in these categories. Let's let the data in. Let it speak to us and let it hopefully inform us about how we need to act for the benefit of our Commonwealth. Mr. Speaker, anybody who would like to borrow this book or anybody who would like to have this book, I am more than willing to make it available to all of you as we go forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Norfolk, Ms. Miller.